Luzon, Visayas, at Mindanao.
Let's cool in! Mga kalabaw! Handa na ba kayo?
Metro Manila's greatest hits is back.
Ang lahat ng drama, ang lahat ng tawanan, musika at anong paman. Magkakasama pa rin tayo mga kalamaw. Sa lungkot at ligaya, tabi pa rin ang iyong paboritong tambayan. Broadcasting live from TVH Group of Networks. Ang iyong himpilan, ang iyong tahanan. Number 1 sa Mega Manila.
This is koolNews at noon.
Good afternoon, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. This is Stephen Wanag del Sol for koolNews at noon. You're listening to us right here on Cool FM Nationwide and Use Radio 93.1 on bringing the latest stories that care for you. Tropical storm Ophel entered the Philippine area of responsibility early Tuesday morning, the Pag-asa announced. The State Weather Bureau published at 5 a.m. bulletin stating that Ophel entered the PAR at 3 a.m. and was last spotted 1,170 kilometers east of southeastern Luzon, parking maximum sustained winds of 75 kilometers per hour and gustiness of up to 90 kilometers per hour. Tropical storm Ophel is moving west-northwestward at 25 kilometers per hour, Pag-asa added. For now, no wind signals have been raised since Ophel has no direct effect yet on any part of the country, Pag-asa noted. However, tropical cyclone wind signal number 1 may be raised over portions of Cagayan Valley by Tuesday evening or early Wednesday morning, according to the state weather agency. Pag-asa said that based on the forecast track of Ophel, the storm would steadily intensify in the next 3 days and reach the typhoon category on Wednesday, November 13. It is also expected to make landfall either over northern Luzon or central Luzon on Thursday afternoon or evening. Pag-asa advised the public and relevant disaster risk reduction and management offices to keep monitoring for further information on Tropical Storm Ophel. Meanwhile, the Anti-Money Laundering Act Council has already begun action proceedings against banks involved in the money laundering case of dismissed Bambang Tarlac Mayor Alice Go Waping. Senator Grace Poe made the pronouncement during the Senate plenary debates on the 2025 General Appropriations Act after Senate Deputy Minority Leader Risa Hontiveros asked about AMLC's plans against the banks. The AMLC opened the enforcement action proceedings against those banks involved in Alice Go's cases to determine if they have violated the requirement under AMLA or the Anti-Money Laundering Act to file STRs or suspicious transaction reports with the AMLC, said Poe, speaking for the AMLC during the plenary session. She added, these proceedings are ongoing and should the AMLC find that they indeed violated the said requirement, the AMLC will file formal charges against the said banks where they may be liable from fines. Poe said these fines may range from 250,000 pesos to 500,000 pesos per transaction, but not exceeding 10 million to 20 million. This is without prejudice to the criminal liability under AMLA if their officers are found to have knowingly facilitated a crime of money laundering, she said. Meanwhile, when asked about Hontiveros what assistance the AMLC would need to compel the banks to flag illegal or STRs and ensure that it can address such reports, Poe responded with needing additional funding for the agency's artificial intelligence project and a subscription to an IT service provider. Poe said this is why we added additional funding under the Senate Committee report for the Artificial Intelligence report of AMLC to help them evaluate the great number of suspicious transaction reports that they receive. The senator also pushed for the passage of amendments on ATLA to ensure compliance with the Financial Action Task Force, which serves as the standards ensuring the Philippine government can cope with money laundering risks. Go is currently facing 87 counts of money laundering filed by the Anti-Money Laundering Council, Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission, and the National Bureau of Investigation before the Department of Justice. Other respondents included her alleged sister Sheila Go, or real name Zhang Mir. Building generational wealth is a goal that many Filipino families aspire to, yet it often proves that to be a fleeting dream. For numerous reasons, wealth tends to slip away from one generation to the next. The reasons behind this aren't always clear, but understanding them can help family break the cycle and secure a legacy for their future. In a new video posted by PGMN titled Filipino Wealth, Janelle Sakitin reveals why it rarely ever lasts beyond one generation. Licensed financial advisor Janelle Sakitin unpacks the critical reasons why financial security is so hard to maintain across generations. Drawing from her extensive experience in financial planning, Janelle explores the common pitfalls that prevent families from keeping wealth and shares practical steps for overcoming these barriers and building a lasting legacy. Janelle explains that wealth retention is often challenged by external and internal factors. Politically, the Philippines face significant challenges with corruption, which often hinders economic development and affects lower-income families the most. Natural disasters such as typhoons and floods further disrupt financial stability, making it nearly impossible for families to hold on to their wealth across generations. Additionally, many families lack proper financial planning, which accelerates the loss of wealth during times of crisis. Janelle also emphasizes that cultural beliefs and financial habits play a major role in the wealth erosion. Many Filipinos grow up with the mindset that money is the root of all evil, which discourages long-term wealth-building practices. Instead, spending on consumer goods is prioritized over saving and investing. This consumer-driven mindset, combined with a lack of financial literacy, makes it difficult for families to preserve and grow their wealth. Moreover, Janelle highlights the lack of financial education as a barrier to building generational wealth. Only a small percentage of Filipinos engage in formal financial planning, such as investments or estate planning. Without the proper knowledge and tools to manage wealth, families risk losing everything due to poor financial decisions or disputes over inheritance. Janelle advocates for the importance of financial literacy and taking proactive steps to estate planning to ensure wealth can be passed on to future generations. Janelle Sakitin's message urges Filipino families to take a proactive role in shaping their financial futures. She emphasizes that the importance of making informed financial decisions, from saving and investing to secure long-term goals. By shifting the mindset toward wealth preservation and making strategic choices today, families can break the cycle of financial hardship and build a foundation of wealth that benefits generations to come. The newly signed corporate recovery and tax incentives for enterprises to maximize opportunities for reinvigorating the economy, or the Create More Act, will allow the country to keep investors in and eventually launch more jobs, House Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez and Albay Representative Joy Salceda said. In a separate statements on Monday, Romualdez and Salceda thanked the President Ferdinand Marcos for signing Republic Act No. 12066, as it will be a big boost to the country's economy. According to Romualdez, there was a need to amend the Create Act to address ambiguities in the tax incentives that the original law had granted to local and domestic corporations since its enactment in March 2021. Romualdez said there have been complaints from a number of investors on these alleged ambiguities. Romualdez said to resolve these issues and to encourage these investors to remain in the country and keep their workers employed, we found it necessary to already amend the law. He added, we acted fast to make adjustments in the law to preserve existing investments and to attract additional capital. Salceda meanwhile said that the Create More may be the biggest pro-labor legislation, as it keeps jobs by not only enticing current investors to stay, but by also encouraging more business people to enter the Philippines. Salceda, an economist and chairperson of the House Committee on Ways and Means, said, if you think deeply about it, Create More is the largest pro-labor legislation in the recent memory. It increases the demand for labor by encouraging more investments. This is the only way to truly sustain higher wages. This lifts the largest roadblock to foreign direct investments in the country. By encouraging investments from outside, we increase the bargaining power of the Filipino worker, who are currently in the chokehold of a few domestic players who get to set wages. Earlier, Marcos signed Republic Act number 12066 with House officials like Romualdez and Salceda present to witness the event. With the new law, the National Internal Revenue Code will be amended in a bid to strengthen the country's tax incentive policy. The bicameral committee report containing the final version of the Create More bill was ratified by the House last September 10, while the Senate ratified it the next day. Romualdez hopes the changes would satisfy existing inventors and eventually pave the way for more businesses and investments into the country. He noted, "We hope the changes will satisfy our existing investors and entice more foreign capitalists to invest in the country. The enactment of the new law signals our unwavering commitment to keep and attract investments that will preserve jobs and create more opportunities for our people." Ladies and gentlemen, we will return after a break, and you're listening here on Cool FM Nationwide and News Radio 93.1. This is Cool News at noon.
This Cool News edition was brought to you by Fuji Denso Home and Commercial Appliances, where you get reliable, durable, and energy-saving products.
Community journalist Frenchie May Cumpio denied being a part of the terrorist organization when she appeared in court for the first time on Monday since she and her 4 companions were arrested by authorities in 2020. Cumpio, who was affiliated with the Tacloban-based news group Eastern Vista, said she was not a member of the Communist Party of the Philippines New People's Army as she testified before Judge Georgina Perez of the Regional Trial Court Branch 45 for more than an hour. The 25-year-old journalist was one of the 5 individuals, collectively referred to as the Tacloban 5, who were arrested 4 years ago for illegal possession of firearms and explosives. She also faces a separate charge for terrorism financing. Cumpio and her co-accused Mariel Domequil, Marisa Cabaljao, Mira Legion, and Alexander Philip Abinguna were taken into custody on February 7, 2020 by members of the Criminal Investigation and Detection Group of the Philippine National Police and the Army's 802nd Infantry Brigade in Barangay 96, Kalanipawan, Tacloban City. The military, claiming that all 5 were linked to militant groups that were supposedly fronts of the CPP-NPA, maintained that Cumpio was the secretary of the CPP-NPA's Regional White Area Committee, while Domequil was a member of RWAC EVRPC and also the finance officer of the Rural Missionaries of the Philippines, Eastern Visayas. Abinguna, the military, added it was a member of Katungod Sininangan Visayas, Legion, which was affiliated with Bagong Alyansang Makabayan, and Cabaljao was with the People's Search. Cumpio, Domequil, and Abinguna remained detained at Tacloban City Jail, while Cabaljao and Legion were allowed by the court to post bail on charges of illegal possessions of firearms. The arrest of the Tacloban 5 took place during the administration of former President Rodrigo Duterte, who was accused of red-tacking various human rights groups in the country. The incident prompted multiple human rights organizations, including Amnesty International, to call for the dismissal of the charges against Cumpio and her co-accused, who said they were victims of fabricated cases. During her testimony, Cumpio, wearing a yellow shirt and a vest, recounted how the raiding officers dragged them from their bedroom and made them lie on the kitchen floor. She said all we saw were boots. When asked about her lawyer if she could observe the actions of the raiding team who claimed they found firearms and explosives in the room shared by Cumpio and Domequil, Cumpio refuted the military's allegations against her, emphasizing that she was a legitimate media worker of Eastern Vista, which runs a radio program on a local station. Through her lawyers, she presented her media ID and receipts for payment to the radio station for airing their program called Linganay. Alternative media groups and rights advocates meanwhile trooped to the Department of Justice on Monday to renew their call for the release of Cumpio. Responding to the group, the DOJ said that state prosecutors would be objective in examining the case against her and her co-accused. Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla, in a statement, "We understand the significance of public interest in cases such as this, and we assure you that the DOJ remains dedicated to upholding the integrity of the legal process." Len Olea, Secretary General of the National Union of Journalists of the Philippines, or the NUJP, said they were happy that Cumpio was able to debunk the allegations against her and her co-accused, adding that they were confident her testimony was crucial for the dismissal of the charges against them. Detained televangelist and false teacher Apollo Kibuloy has been hospitalized since last week for an irregular heartbeat, which may be considered as life-threatening. The PNP spokesperson, Brigadier General Jean Fajardo, said at a press briefing on Monday that the self-appointed Son of God and founder of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ sect was taken to the Philippine Heart Center in Quezon City on November 8. A day before, he complained of chest discomfort, prompting guards at the PNP Custodial Center in Camp Crame to bring him to the PNP General Hospital, where he underwent a medical checkup. Doctors, however, recommended that he undergo the further examination. Fajardo told the reporters the medical examination conducted by the PNP Health Service revealed that he has an irregular heartbeat, which may be considered as life-threatening. Pastor Kibuloy was transferred to the PHC at noon on Friday upon the order of a Pasig City Court, where he is facing a non-bailable qualified trafficking charge. He also has a pending case in the Quezon City Court for child abuse, discrimination, and exploitation. He was originally scheduled to be returned to Camp Crame on Monday, but the court granted a request from his camp to extend his medical furlough until November 16th so that he could complete the recommended medical tests. According to Fajardo, the 74-year-old KJC leader suffers from atrial fibrillation with rapid ventricular response, characterized by rapid and irregular heartbeat, causing symptoms such as palpitations and dizziness. She said that Kibuloy was in a regular hospital room that was guarded by the PNP. The Pasig City Court had earlier denied his request for hospital or house arrest. In September, Pastor Kibuloy surrendered to authorities after a 16-day police search of the KJC's sprawling compound in Davao City. Arrested with him were his fellow accused Ingrid Canada, Crescente Canada, Jacqueline Roy, and Sylvia Semanyes. He is also wanted in the United States, where he faces charges of conspiracy to engage in sex trafficking by force, fraud and coercion, sex of trafficking of children, conspiracy, and bulk cash smuggling. A warrant for his arrest was issued by a U.S. court on November 10, 2021. Last month, his lawyers filed his certificate for candidacy for senator in the next year's midterm election. Nearly half of the 2023 and 2024 budgets of the Office of the Vice President was spent for the setup and upkeep of its satellite offices nationwide, according to an OVP official who testified on Monday before a House inquiry into Vice President Sara Duterte's alleged misuse of her confidential and other funds. The House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability also cited for contempt for other OVP executives who continue to ignore its summons. This prompted Duterte, who was in Bacolod City on Monday, to hold a press conference criticizing the inquiry as a prelude to a plan to have her impeached. Testifying about the funds used for the satellite offices, Edelyn Rabago, officer in charge of the OVP's budget division, said 1.026 billion of the OVP's 2023 budget and the 893.36 million pesos from its budget this year had so far been spent for these offices across the country. According to OVP Chief Administrative Officer Kevin Jerome Tenido, the satellite offices were established in July 2022 upon instruction of the top management that OVP services will be extended to certain areas nationwide. Tenido pointed out that there was no explicit line item in the OVP's 2022 budget for then Vice President Leni Robredo regarding the establishment of such offices. According to him, when Duterte assumed office in July that year, the funds for the satellite offices were sourced from the 2022 General Appropriations Act under the OVP's Good Governance Program, which covers all social services. House Assistant Majority Leader and Nueva Ecija Representative Micaela Angela Swansing noted that the Commission on Audit had observed five-fold increase in amounts for the satellite offices. Among such budgetary items, he said, were travel expenses, some 60 million in the office space rentals, and various supplies and professional services. As for Duterte's confidential funds, other OVP officials who attended the hearing confirmed that only two other people beside the Vice President Chief of Staff, Zuleika Lopez, and Special Dispersing Officer Gina Acosta, were privy to the disbursement of 500 million pesos in confidential funds from the last quarter of 2022 to the third quarter of 2023. Tenido of OVP Financial Services Director Rosaline Sanchez and Chief Accountant Julieta Villarreal said they had no personal knowledge of the said funds. Sanchez said Acosta reported to Lopez, who in turn reported directly to Duterte. In the world news, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump said late Sunday he was bringing back the hardline immigration official Tom Homan to oversee the country's borders in the incoming administration. The 78-year-old Republican tycoon has pledged to launch on day one of his presidency the largest deportation operation of undocumented immigrants in U.S. history. Trump posted on his social network Truth Social, "I am pleased to announce that the former ICE director and stalwart on border control, Tom Homan, will be joining the Trump administration in charge of our nation's borders. I've known Tom for a long time, and there is nobody better at policing and controlling our borders." Homan will be in charge of all deportation of illegal aliens back to the country of origin, Trump added. During his campaign, he repeatedly railed against undocumented immigrants, employing violent rhetoric about those who poison the blood of the United States. While the U.S. government has struggled for years to manage its southern border with Mexico, Trump has supercharged concerns by claiming an invasion is underway by migrants he says will rape and murder Americans. In rally speeches, he widely exaggerated local tensions and misled his audiences about immigration statistics and policy. Violent crime, which spiked under Trump, has fallen in every year of President Joe Biden's administration. Migrants commit fewer crimes proportionally than the native population, though foreign suspects have been named in a few high-profile cases of violent attacks on women, infuriating Republicans. The number of U.S. Border Patrol encounters with migrants crossing over from Mexico illegally is now about the same as in 2020, the last year of Trump's presidency, after peaking at a record 250,000 for the month of December 2023. He vowed to tackle migrant gangs using the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, which allows the federal government to round up and deport foreigners belonging to enemy countries, as part of a mass deportation drive he christened Operation Aurora. Aurora was the scene of a viral video showing that armed Latinos rampaging through an apartment block that spurred sweeping false narratives about the town being terrorized by Latin American migrants. Trump has similarly promoted the fictitious story that Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio are eating residents' pets. And for some showbiz news, the Miss International 2024 pageant has been slowly making changes in the way the competition is being held, and this year's edition will see more updates to the beloved global tilt. All delegates will still parade in their national costumes, as in the previous editions, during the opening segment of the finale show that will be held at the Tokyo Dome City Hall on Tuesday, November 12. But the number of semifinalists in the 2024 contest will be raised from the previous edition's group of just 10 to 12 or 15 ladies. This year, 20 semi-finalists will be called, and it will include the top online vote getters from the three regional clusters, Asia and Oceania, Europe and Africa, and the Americas. Joining them are the 17 ladies who received the highest scores from the preliminary evaluation held last Sunday, November 10, and the evening gown parade in front of the judges on Tuesday, before the start of the coronation show. Only the top 20 will take part in the swimsuit competition this time around. Before, all delegates also paraded in the swimwear and gown segments during the finale show. After the swimsuit round with the top 20, the field will be further trimmed to just 8 ladies, who will then proceed to the question and answer round and the final look in evening gown. No further cuts will be made, and the winner and the four runner-ups will be chosen from the final 8 ladies. 71 ladies are competing for the crown currently held by Andrea Rubio, the 9th Venezuelan woman to win the title. Binipining Pilipinas Angelica Lopez will try to score the Philippines' 7th win in the international competition, following Gemma Cruz, Auroras Pijuan, Melanie Marquez, Precious Gagaman, Vero Santiago, and Kylie Versosa. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all for Cool News at noon. We will return later at 4 p.m. for more news and headlines. You can also send us your comments, suggestions, and feedback at tvh.philippines.news@gmail.com. I'm Stephen Nuwanag del Sol, and this is Cool News. Take care, and God bless the Republic of the Philippines.